My bedtime, but this is an exciting one. Adriano, everyone, give him a warm welcome.
Thank you. So I know we're running a bit late, so I'm going to try and make it faster. I wanted this not to be a monologue, so please just interact. If I ask any question, just say whatever you think about it. So about this open monitor, I was following the news back a few months ago, and in the wake of the Arab Spring, and I remember seeing one specific news about rallies occurring in Libya that were being organized through social networks, and communication with the reporters in the region of Libya was kind of compromised because of an internet shutdown at the moment, and people outside of Libya wasn't sure whether internet came to a halt or not, because this is really hard to figure at the right moment independently. And when I saw this, I began to ask myself, why don't we have a location where we can just go and check what is the connectivity status in any specific region in the globe? And then I remember that internet is actually not owned by one specific organization. It's rather a huge conglomerate of routers and equipments owned by public and private companies all around. So from that you can tell that it's not easy to come and ask everyone to adopt a new standard that would allow for this monitoring. And I've been seeing other cases where connectivity has been compromised, like when an old lady in Georgia decided to scavenge for copper, and she broke through a fiber optic cable that was serving internet for the whole country of Georgia, Armenia, and parts of Azerbaijan, bringing millions offline for 5 hours. So it's, this happens. Back in time, we witnessed the Japan massive earthquake, in which several fiber optic cables were broke, also connecting Asia to North America. And at the exact moment, nobody knew there was an earthquake hitting Japan, and what was the problem with connectivity between two regions. And once again, it's hard to verify independently what's going on in that region. But earthquakes and old ladies scavenging for copper are not the only threats to internet connectivity. We also have internet being compromised by the interests of a few. Like when a government decides to block a website because they feel like people is discussing about democracy and they want to avoid that from spreading and gaining momentum. Or when GoDaddy or another internet service provider promises to deliver one thing, but when you access YouTube, for example, they end up delivering something else. So this to me looks like a creeping normalcy. Are you guys used to this term? Creeping normalcy?
Explain.
Okay. So you guys know the story of the anecdote of the boiling frog? If you take a frog and you throw it in a boiling water, what's going to happen? It's going to jump out. But if you put it in a chilled water and slowly heat it up, it's just going to remain the water until it's completely boiled. So, I mean, there are some people that prove this is not true, but anyways. It's good to know that this could happen with us, because people are just like frogs. If you recall the war between Koreas and how it ended, actually didn't technically end it, but there used to be a demilitarized zone between North Korea and South Korea, but North Korea decided to slowly push tanks and hovercrafts close to the border, one at a time, one at a week, and then soon South Korea began to do the same, and now it looks more like this. Nobody, realized it would become like this before actually came. So this is also a Sorites paradox. I need a volunteer. Come over. I need you to stick out your two hands and hold these balls. As much as you can. As many as you can. Okay, you play ping pong? Two hands. Oh, two hands. Yeah. Okay. This is part of the experiment.
All right.
Okay, you got it. Okay, let's do with these. So this is a heap of balls, right?
Yeah.
Do you call this a heap?
Yeah.
Is this a heap?
Yeah, it's a heap.
Heap? Not a heap? It's not a heap? It's a heap or isn't? So if you continue to take it out, I mean, they just don't want to stay anymore. I'm gonna take them later. Please don't step on them because you're gonna hurt yourself. So, I mean, we have only two now. Is this still a heap?
No.
Why not? And if I take and I leave only one, is it still a heap? What about now? So when did it, thank you very much, when was the time when it stopped being a heap?
When it stopped being unmanageable.
When it stopped what?
When it stopped being unmanageable.
Unmanageable. It's a bit deeper than that.
Yeah.
Actually, this is pretty much what is happening with the internet right now. Because we used to have a much bigger heap when it comes to internet freedom. And now, we're slowly taking out the balls. And, is it still a heap or not? This is the question. This is the point. It might sound a bit controversial, but I do believe that there is good use for censorship. Like when we have these riots in London, people were organizing themselves to, go against the population and, the city through social networks, using Blackberries. So London decided to insert censoring and, look for data in their Blackberries. So this is good use for censorship. Some people is going to say it's not, but I believe it is. But this is a bad example. Like yesterday, United States released the virtual embassy for Iran. You guys know what happened right after? Iran just censored the website. It was an attempt of the U.S. government to reach out to the Iranian people, but they just blocked. And the reason why they blocked, we all know. This is bad censorship. So the point is that we need to build a system from which we can tell what is being censored or not, so that we can know what good or evil are being blocked from us, if we're missing good or evil. So I mean, if the government is blocking Nazi content, we don't give a shit about it. But if it's blocking, content that, about government or about corruption, then it's important for us to get to know that. That's when I decided that we really need a handy internet connectivity monitor in which people can just go to the website and see what's the connectivity status. Anything is, internet is working there, if Facebook is being blocked, or if a specific ISP does throttling to YouTube, for example. So anything. We're not focused on censorship. We're not like freaks about censorship. We just wanted to have a monitor to realize if internet works in the region or not. But this is a long shot. Developing such a system is real hard. But we accepted the challenge, and we had to be very creative. And one of the things we decided that we needed to do was to, monitor all networks available on the internet from inside of it. So it's not an easy thing. I mean, maintaining such achieving such a test is not easy. So I wanted you to, like, take a few moments and think about, solutions for that, and, share here with us. What do you guys think would be a feasible way to do this?
You could write a virus that infects.
Legally. I mean, we want to do this legally. But thanks anyway.
One Windows machine in every country. It's probably
Still running Windows 95.
That's the only way.
I mean, you really want it to be distributed, and really want it to be peer-to-peer, because if you had all of your servers in the United States and have everyone just phone home to the U.S., then what happens when we lose internet in the U.S.?
That's right. Right.
So even your web server that you're hosting up have to be some sort of local bound, so you can
Yeah, but it's also going to have to be self-aware now, because if you can take the system down. Like if you can, what's distributed? What are you looking at? You can't shred the map up and give it to everybody, right?
Well, if you have the VPS in every country in the world, not cheap, but
No.
Right. Kickstarter.
yeah.
Right. So our solution, as I said, is to have nodes on every location to scan for websites and test connectivity, and this is what we really need to do. But testing all websites from all locations is like almost impossible. Google does that, but we do not have as near as many resources as they do. So we just went with a solution which we use the community, the crowd, to suggest websites they think it's being blocked or censored or thrown anywhere in the world. Like, oh, I'm from China, Facebook's not working here, so just come to the website and suggest something. And then we build out tests, send to the regions, we run the test, the nodes are going to return the results, and we're going to compile and show connectivity status, detailed connectivity status for each region. We're also going to gather suggestions from Twitter, because people just go to Twitter to express their frustration when they have any website blocked, when Twitter is not, of course, censored in the region where they live. So we are developing a solution in which we use the trend topics and a few terms, and we link them together and measure how strong the links between the terms are, so that we can, actually have a better suggestion of what we should scan or not. And our solution is indeed, peer-to-peer network. We are using a peer-to-peer network, but not a pure peer-to-peer network, because a pure peer-to-peer network, although it's much more independent and hard to take down, it's also very hard to work reliably, because they do not have a centralized node, so that all nodes can say, like, where am I and who are the other nodes that I want to connect with to share my data. So we kind of came with a hybrid one, in which nodes can talk to each other to find each other, but they can also rely on a centralized server from which they can get answers more quickly and work faster. But we have another problem, which is let's say we put this to work. We already have this implemented and it's working, but we do not release it yet. We're in our final stage of development. But let's say we release it tomorrow and Iran is not happy about it, and they decide to block it. So this is one of the things that we need to prevent, like us becoming the prey of such governments. So, ideas. What do you guys think?
Run it over Tor.
What?
You could do a .onion address
Right.
for the communication between the peers.
Right. That's one of the solutions, but we can. You're talking about Tor, right? Yeah. So Tor, I mean, you need a bridge. Tor is not, as easy as it sounds it is. I mean, it's cool, it works very well, but I mean, it's not easy to get a bridge, mainly if you're like inside China mainland. You're gonna have trouble trying to find a bridge. I mean, it's not that easy. But I mean, it's one of the things that we're gonna do, like in our next versions. I've been in touch with Damon from Tor. He's one of the developers there, and we really want to make, have this, our nodes to run over Tor when needed. But it's something else that we're going to do in the future.
You can define connectivity to the internet as being connectivity to your service. So if they block connectivity to your service, then you can say, oh, they don't have internet.
Yeah, but that's not true, because I mean, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can tell that I am being blocked because nodes do not respond to my requests. So, I mean, it's a pretty good sense.
Find some side channels or maybe SMS pins or something like that.
That's one of the solutions we're implementing too. If the website is not accessible, we have a mobile agent for Android, and if the website is not accessible, we can send the report using SMS. This is one of the things that we already do. Nice.
Building on that idea, there's so many proxies that you can use over the internet itself, from email to encoding in lots of public sites that will never be blocked. Email is notoriously hard to filter correctly, otherwise we wouldn't have spam block. But since the system doesn't have to be real time, 100%, even if it's 10 minutes off, there's so many options, I think, to use. From encoding in Google Images and Flickr.
We thought about it. But we could really spam out these. We could cause some real spamming to these websites. So we really just we were a bit skeptical about going this way. But it's one of the solutions. Actually, we're as I said, we have an SMS module. We also send by email, and if needed, we can use steganography to hide the report inside an image and send by email or whatever. But we thought about like using steganography and putting in a website, and then we scan for some rejects or something. But we're trying not to use this approach, so we do not spam anyone and become evil people like the bad guys.
Now, it looks to me like you might inadvertently be doing a lot of the work for the bad guys yourself, because the bad guys in China can see that, oh, Iran is blocking this website, we should block it too. But what do you do to prevent that? There's some websites that I know of I would love to put in your thing and see if they're blocked, but I don't think they're blocked, and I don't want anybody, only the activists know about it, not the government.
I think these governments, they are not naive. I mean, they know pretty much what they need to block. And they're not, China, for example, they're not really interested in blocking content. They're more interested in, getting people that generates content. So they're
saying you become an avenue for them to.
Well, if that was really seriously an issue, and these governments were really concerned with getting hints from each other about which websites to block, why don't they just communicate to each other to find out which websites are blocked? I mean, it seems to me here that more information is more helpful here than anything else. I mean, if you really want to set up a partnership with another censoring country, well, why not? Why not just set it up?
But not necessarily friends, though.
Yeah, you guys are aware of the Arab Spring and what's going on in the Middle East, right? So what do you guys think that motivated that? Come on, why?
Sorry.
What? Come on.
I don't think it motivated. You could say social media. That was definitely an integral part, and probably a necessary part, but it did not motivate.
No, yeah.
That's just my opinion.
No, I'm not saying social media.
Okay.
I'm just asking what it is.
Inequality. Like rampant inequality in human rights abuses.
Well,
Right, but if you're a Libyan, how do you figure that?
I'm sorry?
If you're a Libyan, how do you figure that you're life quality is different from someone else.
Connectivity. Yeah, connectivity.
That's information. So that's how they figure. So that's how the frog figures that, you know, the water is getting pretty warm, pretty hot. So this is the point about open monitoring, is to, you know, inform the frog that, you know, this is heating up. And if the government uses information to heat the water even further, then we're gonna say that too. But this is the point. I mean, it's to have people to, you know, gain the knowledge and know what good or evil they're being blocked from. But this is the point.
Well, actually, different websites have a different agenda. And some websites like to quietly organize activists around the world without the government knowing about them. And other websites like to make a lot of publicity, a big stink when they're being blocked. So you really got to give the website the choice. Whether
Yeah, I mean, if they do not go there and suggest themselves, we're not going to do it.
Okay, but if a website wanted to suggest themselves, you should have a way to make it private.
That's censoring. Sorry. Okay.
I wasn't waiting for that to come out as harsh as it was, but this is important work. How useful is it going to be for the people within the population? Explain to me, is this tool going to be useful for, so if I'm a Lithuanian journalist or whatever, and I'm within the confines of a system where they're breaking, how is it useful for me? Is your system resilient enough to work like that?
Well,
and I look at it and tell that this is happening.
Yeah, I mean, I once lived in Belgium, and when I moved from Brazil to Belgium, I had a very hard time to find a good internet service provider because they do a lot of throttling there. So this is one of the uses if you want to check whether an internet service provider is better than another. So this is not only about censorship, as I said. So if you're a reporter and you're going to Libya, you might want to know what internet service provider is more reliable or not. If your website is being blocked there or not, I mean, of the news site that you work for. So this is important information. It's not, we're not a counter-censorship website. We're not trying to, you know, fight back and, you know, provide people with tools to break through censorship. We're not these guys. We just want to inform people of what is being blocked or not, and what are the connectivity status in any region of the globe. Go ahead.
Just repeat the concern from before, maybe in another way. Like, who's the people who might benefit from this the most? Like, I don't know, are corporations good guys or bad guys in this story?
Take your time.
There's a lot of changes in the ownership of the internet too. Sure, you can start your own website for $2 a month, okay? But it's going to be hosted on a service somewhere, the data center somewhere, that's owned by fewer and fewer companies. So these very, very large media companies. I mean, a lot of the censorship isn't done by URLs; it's done by routing, right? At the IP level, but the central owned, privately owned part of the internet. A very, very useful tool, I think, to very large ISPs and owners of much of the internet. Are they good or bad? I don't know. They enable stuff for government. They're very, very much involved with them.
How is that the case, though? How is this tool going to enable? So if it happens at that level, how is this tool enable? How does that enable a government or a corporation, for that matter?
I'm Rupert Murdoch, and I just found out that Italy has blocked, 50% of my media empire. I don't know, or something like that is going on.
He knows that way before they're going to know that.
Well, no, these are little things that they can do to block it. If this is part of his interest in revenue, I mean, this is something that he would care about.
Technical question.
Go ahead, right.
Hey, so when your client makes requests, it does it like robotically, right? It's some sort of HTTP user agent that has to be defined. Does that ever get blocked itself or based on its signature from the sites? Have you ever seen someone block it? You wouldn't know, but has there been a pushback from these hosts from being crawled that way?
Technically, we can spoof the user agent signature.
But they're not, right?
I mean, it's going to run from any regular mobile phone or desktop or laptop or whatever. So I mean, they cannot tell it's coming from one or more nodes or from a regular website. They cannot do that.
It's not running inside of Firefox, for example. So is it, so like, what does the HTTP request look like? Does it submit the user agent header?
Come again?
The user agent header, is it submitting that? And if so, is it
We
pretending
can't,
to
I
be
mean, it's, yeah, we implemented it. Our nodes are implemented with Python and twisted matrix. Yeah, so we can tweak that. I mean, actually, right now we do not, write anything on the user agent header. But we're gonna run a beta to see how well this works, and then we're gonna, of course, tune and improve. Go ahead.
Hi. Have you heard of OpenNet.net? In 2007 at PyCon, some people from Citizens Lab gave a talk on detecting censorship on the web, and they had an agent written in Python that went out. They called Mr. Turtle. It's probably not still Mr. Turtle.
Is it the Umit Project from Thor?
I don't know. OpenNet.net. Yeah, check it out. I think it seems kind of dovetails or similar to what you're doing.
Right. Yeah, I've heard about the. I've been talking to people at Tor, and they had the Oni Pro, which is kind of similar, but we're going a step further to provide this in real time on a website. So it's that's the whole point about providing information in real time. Okay.
I was going to ask, do you release the source for your that's running behind this in case somebody ends up censoring you that somebody else can set it up?
Yeah, I'm going to reach that point. Anyone else?
The nodes that you have, I wasn't sure, are they nodes that you own in the various locations, or are they like clients running on like?
It's a peer-to-peer network, so if you want to contribute, just download and install on your machine that you can suggest and also run the scans yourself. I mean, it's gonna be automatic, but it's gonna be from your location. That's the whole point.
So I'm kind of trying to think about steganography options here, and it seems to me that if this is an open source application, then China can just go pull your source code and generate signatures for whatever kind of steganography you're trying to do.
Yeah, they can do that. But we we also have a way to prevent that by guaranteeing the authenticity of a node. We implemented some features in which when you create an account and download a node, it comes with a signature. And when you send a report, we check your signature. And China could do batch downloads of the nodes, but then we would be able to, we have also means to check like IP range. If it's coming, like they send batch reports saying that Facebook is working in China right now. And we know that, other 1,000 nodes are saying that no, it doesn't work. And these reports come from the same range, IP range, so we just ignore and abandon.
You should take a look at something that Moxie Marlin's wife has been doing called Perspectives. It's intended to be an alternative to our current infrastructure around SSL certificates and whatnot. And a lot of the distributed nature of things, I think, there's a lot of parallels with what you're trying to do. Nice. Perspective.
Nice. You had a question?
Yeah, are you familiar with the Byzantine Generalist problem?
No.
It's a problem in cryptography where you have a number of generals who need to communicate with each other, and you have a number of messengers, and some of the messengers may be spies. And how do you reliably communicate? And you break the message apart into pieces using a hash which puts parts of the entire message into each piece, and then you transfer the pieces. No one piece has enough of the message to be of any value, but when you have enough pieces, you can reconstitute the message. And there are some commercial boilerplate. I'm not aware of any open source implementation where
There's at least 2 or 3 that will do like 3 of 5 or 4 of 7 or any of
but will transfer the commercial place I'm familiar with will do transfer of large files, movies that size, all over UDP, reliably across the internet.
Right. Yeah, I mean, our problem is it's not, you know, transportation, because the report is really small and we can send it even, you know, using SMS. Our problem is authenticity. You see?
Well, because the way the message is divided up into parts.
Yeah. But listen, if you are one node,
guarantees the authenticity of the message.
yeah, you can.
You can resend.
Right. But listen, you are one node on our network, and you did a test, and you verify that Twitter is not working in your region. What you're going to do, you're going to send a message. So, I mean, your report, your message, we cannot like split it in a way that, you know, would prevent China from downloading a node and, you know, sending a wrong report to us. So that's the point. I mean, you've got a point. It's one solution to transport data, you know, safely and ensure authenticity, but it doesn't work in our network, you know, like that, for that purpose. You raise your hand.
From a totally selfish standpoint, is it possible with your website and software to say, I have a website in the United States that may not be working somewhere around the world, not for censorship reasons, but for some other reasons, and just, you know, suggest that site and see that it's not working in Taiwan?
As I said, we're not about censorship. We're about connectivity. So it happens that, you know, some people decide to censor websites, and, you know, that's a connectivity problem. So we happen to map that too. And the only thing that we decided not to check, it's like porn websites, Nazi content, you know, terrorist content. This is sort of stuff we're not gonna monitor at all. If it's censored, we do not care at all. If it's, you know, if people are censoring porn websites, we do not care. I mean, we want to care about, you know, good things.
So how many countries are people running agents in now anyway?
No, it's not released yet. We implemented it, it's working, but we're not done with it to make a better release yet.
Who's involved in the project? Who's involved in
Oh, yeah. Well, this is a project from Umit Project. I'm going to talk more about that. Okay, so, no more questions? Umit, yeah, it's the organization I founded. And it's a non-profit organization. It's an open source organization. We work mostly with Python. And I mean, it's basically maintained by my pocket, so it's really short and, you know, budget. So we couldn't come out with this by ourselves. So we received some help from Google, where they sponsored 3 talented students to, you know, engage in our case. This year, we got like 5 other students to work on other projects, but we got 3 just to work on Open Monitor. We also received some help from an amazing company that you guys know. It's crowdSPRING. We didn't really use our help yet because we were focused on just, you know, sending the code out and, you know, having a better release. Ross offered to, you know, some help to with design of our logo or something that we might need. The software is AGPL, so it's open source. We have a Git repository available publicly. That's one of the questions that someone raised there, which means if, you know, something happens, if I die or, you know, everybody at Umit dies, someone can carry on with this project. We actually have a sort of preview website that you can go. There's no data there yet. We have another website that we run for development that we have some data. That's where I took the screenshots from. If you guys want to go there and, you know, just see the preview, can just, go there, subscribe, and gain access to the preview website. We run on App Engine, right? But we're gonna also run on other hosts because App Engine happens to be blocked in China, so it's good for the rest of the world, but in China it's blocked. As part of my speech, I was meant to talk about Google Summer of Code too. So I've been involved with Google Summer of Code since the beginning. In 2005, the first year, I was a student. So I participated as a student on the Insecure.org, also known as Nmap organization, where I created the Umit, which is a GUI written in PyGTK that I need to migrate to GI. In 2006 I was a student too. In 2007 I founded the open source organization. Google called us to be one of the mentoring organizations, and since then Umit's been a mentoring organization at Google Summer of Code. So what it really is Google reach out to their vault, take some millions, a couple millions from their vault, and they organize with open source organizations around the world, get some mentors, and then have these mentors to propose a few projects, open source projects, and then these mentors are going to select the students to implement those projects, and then Google is going to pay them. It's going to pay for the development. So these lines are actually the relationship between mentors and students. Yeah, a student right now gets like $5,000 to develop for 3 months. Their summer vacation, they develop whatever open source project mentors or open source organizations suggest. You also get a certificate from Google, some Google swag like pens, notebooks, and a really nice t-shirt. People often participate just because of the t-shirt. It's amazing, it's weird. And also you're going to get a Class A mentoring from world-leading open source organizations, so they can also release your project, and they have the right distribution means to get it going. So if you guys are interested in participating, either being a mentor or a student, it should begin to receive applications by February or March next year. You guys have to stay tuned. I'm not sure about the date yet. We're probably gonna be we're gonna try once again to be a mentoring organization. And yeah, that's it. Any questions? Go ahead.
How hard is it to be a mentoring organization? As far as like, what do you have to submit to Google? Are they pretty restrictive on, they need a really sure plan on what you're going to propose to students and all that, or is it? I mean, if you submit an application that's pretty good, you'll probably get it.
What I'm used to see is that, last year I think we had like 150 organizations. That's, a pretty good deal of organizations. Most of them get accepted. The only thing is that, organizations that do not have many ideas or do not have many mentors or whatever they find important, they give fewer slots. So you're going to mentor only one student. So big organizations like GNOME or Apache often get like 30, 40. We usually get like 7, 8. This is what we usually get. Canonical probably gets like 42. It's something like that. Yeah, they have a lot of mentors, very good mentors, so they often get very good ideas, so they often get more slots. More questions? Okay, let's go home.